And we are live. Hello and welcome, everyone, to another dynamic live stream from Coatings Talk, where the world of protective coatings and corrosion comes to share innovation, knowledge, and professional passion. Industrial painting is far more than a finishing touch. It's the front line of defense against corrosion, deterioration, and environmental wear on the world's most critical assets. From bridges to pipelines to water tanks and offshore platforms, the integrity of infrastructure depends on the skill and precision of field painting contractors and blast and paint shops. These professionals are using unsung protectors. They're also applying advanced coating systems under demanding conditions, and that's to extend service life, to ensure safety, and also to uphold regulatory compliance. Their work safeguards billions in capital investment, and it keeps essential systems running smoothly across energy, transportation, and manufacturing sectors. In short, they don't just paint, they preserve the future. Now, joining me on the broadcast is Shannon Professori, who's a director of marketing and engagement with Airco. And Airco is headquartered out of Noonan, Georgia. Shannon, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you. Hey, in opening up this live stream, I wanted to talk a little bit about Airco's, really talk about their capabilities, but also start off talking about their history. And one thing I found really interesting on the website, and this is what a quote that was on there. It all began with two people, one blast pot, and a field. Can you tell the history of Airco?
Yeah, so it's something we're really proud of. It all starts with Dee Johnson. Airco is 100% female owned and operated, a certified FBE, and as well as a certified small business enterprise. But yeah, we can't talk about Airco without talking about Dee Johnson. She was a single mom who founded Airco Sandblasting Inc. It was a small family-operated business, and it was grounded in hard work. She had a very simple promise, and it was, what we say we're going to do, we'll do, and that drives everything. It's the beginning of Airco. They simply primarily served the southeastern portion of the United States. Like you said, they were based out of Noonan, Georgia. And today that reach has grown, far beyond its beginnings. But it all started with Dee and her son, Joe Wainscott.
Yeah, and what I was really amazed with was reading about the history, but the fact that the company and Dee and everyone involved with the company, not really kind of chasing work. The history of Airco has really been about building long-term partnerships and also too bringing together a team. And really, I saw the aspect of family and looking at people for their experience, but also their technical knowledge, and then also a focus on things such as safety, a commitment on quality. And then I think that's really what set Airco on such a growth trajectory it's happening right now. Obviously, with the dedication of personnel and management and really everyone across the whole spectrum of the company, it really kind of put Airco in a position to understand a little better with how to work with different industries, but also what to provide when it came to abrasive blast services all the way up to the other capabilities and services and things like that. When it comes to the aspect of the company, and I use the word family, how much family is it really, like you being an insider?
It is. It's a very close group, especially within the executive leadership. Everybody communicates so well. It's very well. When you instill values within the company, it creates a culture, and that culture really is through and through from the top to the bottom. And it's happened since day one. And whenever you factor in that it's important for us to deliver on our word and follow through with that. And that happens within the company as well. And that kind of dependability is not only with our partners, but with each other within the company. And then that creates long-term trust and long-term partnerships, like you said.
Yeah, that dependability is really important. Another aspect really from my research on Airco was that, how much Airco and staff supports the general contractors, the steel fabricators, the engineering firms out there, the asset owners, and the range of services over the years have really grown to include even stuff like such as fireproofing, powder coating, metallizing, e-coat capability, and things like that. But also not working just strictly in a plant configuration, but also working in the field and being really tied a little depth with a lot of the projects that are going on for industrial projects, for industrial facilities, infrastructure. You have your background there of a stadium. Is that the Tennessee Titans Stadium, the new one?
Yep, it is.
And then also with airports. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about really the overall capabilities and capacities of Airco and also some of the industries that are serviced. But I think that's really important to point out too, that when it comes to the aspect of having family is about everyone who works for Airco, but also the greater family for Airco is the relationships that they have developed with all those entities out there, from the contractors up to the owners and things like that. So that's really important. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Let's get into the aspect of locations. Airco really is developing and continues to develop a very wide network and footprint to be able to offer a lot of the services in the field, in the shop, to customers in certain critical and geographical areas. Obviously, Georgia being that center of gravity when it comes to the southeast of the United States, there are 2 plant locations in Georgia. But also, too, I noticed that you have a location in Ohio, Oklahoma, Alabama, and one that's coming, probably going to be coming online that's in the works right now in Connecticut. When it comes to the locations, why is it so geographically important to have that diversification of capabilities and capacity across the United States?
Yeah, so that footprint allows us to meet clients where they are, and more importantly, to control the quality and the logistics at every stage, if it's on site or in the shop. So we can manage everything from shop coatings to field work to large scale logistics. It helps us, like you said, from end to end control the quality of that. And each location has, its own specialty and its strategic purpose. But overall, it helps us with this nationwide foot reach.
Yeah, that's great. Also, the capability with Airco too on you have laydown yards. You have the ability to transport material from fabricators to the job site, and also when it comes to staging materials as well. So I think that is really important to have that kind of that national footprint, or going exactly where the hot spots are. Let's say in the United States when it comes to a lot of this work that's being needed for assets and also infrastructure as well. Let's talk about core services. As you mentioned with D, the first one was dealing in abrasive blasting and surface preparation. It's just amazing to see that being the first foothold for the company, but to also see exactly it grow from there. What type of surface preparation is offered through Airco?
So it's different levels of surface preparation. But it's funny you say that, because that's where we like to say, like, it's where the company started and it's where your project's going to start too. So yeah, we can get into that further. That's, from what I want to say is just really that we're aiming at removing contaminants like rust and mill scale, just to make sure that the surface that you start with and what we coat is going to do what it's intended to do by having the perfect surface.
Yeah, that is absolutely perfect on that. The next aspect of core services is in the protective coatings. We're offering the ability to apply, industrial coatings, advanced coating systems, and these are going to be the liquid applied coatings. When it comes to the actual operations themselves, there's a lot of quality baked into the Airco process when it comes to the training and certification of craft workers, QA system, and also too when it comes to offering a lot of services to the customer to be able to help out from the beginning of the project through the end. In other words, we're not just painting your product or your assets or your components. we actually can help you from the beginning to the end, whatever you need, and have that capability.
Mhm.
Fireproofing, applying intumescent coatings, shop applied fireproofing is very critical and very important. It's very specialized too when it comes to that. Uh, is there anything related to the aspect of fireproofing? I would imagine the stadium projects, but also a lot of other projects that are being done in the United States. Is there anything you want to add regarding the fireproofing capabilities?
Yeah, like you said, it's a specialized service. A lot of work we do is in stadiums, high rises, data centers. And not every coating contractor can handle, at scale. So it's one of the reasons that Airco is often brought into such a high complex projects. I think the real key is application control. So it's, like fireproofing is not only as good as, or fireproofing is only as good as its prep. It's film build and it's curing environment. So our quality assurance team, so one of, our quality assurance manager, Stephen Hinson, is highly involved in that. And, we take the same discipline approach as we do with any coating. It's just, now we're applying it to a system that's designed to save lives and as well as assets.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Another area, a core competency for Airco is metallizing. We know a lot of structures, depending on their service environment and other conditions and materials. A lot of times they need to have metallizing done on them, and that capability is a nationwide. Based on my research, it looked like Airco can go anywhere and metallize anywhere. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Perfect.
absolutely. Yeah, it's one of my favorite processes to watch. I think it's really
It
cool.
is cool. It is real cool. And then the other next area is where I kind of started. A lot of people know my history when it comes to the protective coatings industry. I started off working in fabrication, got involved with powder coating, and powder coating was such a passion of mine years back in my career. But it was my first step into the coatings industry, and powder coating is super critical. As it was in my time, it's still super critical and done in so many different ways. When it comes to powder coating, do you have any information on capability on powder coating? And is there certain locations that do powder coating, or do they all?
That would be Wadley, Alabama. So there's a 5 mile automation line as well as a 37,000 eco tank. So I know a little off subject, but that would be Wadley.
No, that's perfect on the eco tank. In fact, based on my research of Airco, I put out this morning on LinkedIn through the Coatings Talk Insight an article on e-coating, and it was just fascinating to read. I've seen it, but watching the videos that Airco has put out there, and also the information on it, it really resonated with me that I had to write an article on it this morning. So, thank you for inspiring me there, Shannon.
No problem.
And then another area is going to be tank linings and exteriors. The ASTs, the above ground storage tanks. A lot of those assets, they are aging. They need a lot of, rehabilitation. We have new tanks that are going in, and as a lot of times when it comes to the cargo that's within the tanks, they can be exotic items. If you're doing biofuels or anything really exotic out there, they can be really super aggressive. And so, applying the proper tank lining properly is super important to protect that asset and obviously eliminate or minimize the potential for any type of leaks or spillage or anything like that. For tank linings, again, same thing, capabilities in the field to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. That's perfect. So we really kind of covered that aspect of capabilities, which are pretty wide and encompassing. I mean, think about it, starting off over 20, 25 years ago, just focused on abrasive blasting and doing surface preparation to where the company's grown. That's a pretty good growth of core services that are capabilities that are offered. Now let's talk about operational and really workflow integration. I found this kind of fascinating as Airco is a full service model approach. And as I said earlier, talking about the surface preparation, but Airco seems to be, based on my research, very involved with the projects when they are being planned on the engineering side. And then
Mhm.
when it comes all the way through the preparation, the application of the coding systems, the transportation, the staging, whatever needs to be done, the final delivery. So it makes it kind of, in a way, a full service opportunity for, let's say, an engineering firm or an asset owner to kind of look at Airco and say, they're not just doing the blast and painting, they're providing all these other services. Do you think is that one of the major driving factors for the growth and success of Airco, is this full service model?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny because from a marketing perspective, I like to say it's not just a coding company, it's a solutions partner. So when, a client comes with a challenge, maybe it's the corrosion issue or a tight schedule that requires offsite prep, before field installation, then we can, align our facilities, our quality assurance teams and logistics to make that process, seamless. It makes a big difference because it means our clients see, more consistency and quality, better communication, fewer delays because you're not using so many subcontractors, a lot of hands in the pots that can cause communication issues. So having one encompassing entity to do all of that helps the project managers a ton.
Yeah, also I think for traceability too, because if they're, just if, for example, if something were to happen, is there's easily traceability because you're dealing with one entity versus, like you said, multiple people putting their hands on the asset or on the structure, to be able to really kind of go back and see exactly, what occurred, what happened, and then also coming up with a resolution for corrective action and things like that. So that is important too.
Mhm.
In the aspect, I saw too with the mobile blast units to really provide that on-site service. If additional work needs to be done, or if work needs to be done, and they want to say, "Hey, listen, I'd rather contract with you to do the blasting and surface preparation as you're doing the shop application and things like that." So that flexibility, I think, goes to that full service model. And then the streamlined logistics, to have that ability to transport and directly ship to job sites, or to have material picked up or delivered from the mill, right, and then have it processed and done to the job shop or to the job site. The other thing that what I found amazing was the information that Airco puts out there, being a quality organization. They really like Airco. You guys like to really kind of, showcase a lot of the success you have, especially when it comes to efficiency. And I believe, from what I was reading from some of the stuff that came from Airco, was like over 5 miles of coating line capability,
Mhm.
high throughput. The E-coat tank, I believe the E-coat tanks are like 35,000 gallons. So they can really handle some pretty good assets being put into the E-coat tanks.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Is there anything in addition to when it comes to like workflow and operational integration, anything you would want to add to related to the quality control system that are in place with Airco? Is Airco looking at any other quality improvements maybe that you can share?
We are. I think we'll be able to share it at a later point. But that
Okay.
would be, yeah. But it is always. I mean, you can tell from the test of time of the company. We're always looking to do more to improve. And so that's always in the works.
Perfect. And then the industries, really industries that are kind of rely on Airco in some of the projects. The sectors, as you mentioned earlier, data centers, stadiums, like your background is there, high rises, logistics hubs, uh, power generation. Are there any other sectors that I didn't mention that Airco focuses on?
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, the energy sector. So from power generation, pipelines, renewables, that would be a big one. Manufacturing and OEM work, where our power coating and e-coat lines serve, as well as some federal and defense space, area where we support some naval and government projects. And those demand some of the highest level of documentation and quality control and long-term durability. So, those projects really highlight our quality assurance systems and our ability to deliver consistent and spec-driven work.
Excellent, excellent. So let's move on to workforce and family culture. Um, in really kind of researching Airco, the focus I seen when it came to employees, and I use the word family, but also to skilled, a lot of emphasis on quality, workmanship, the craft worker, and things like that. When it comes to training, you know, I would imagine Airco has probably a very extensive training program for craft workers. Is there anything you could share regarding, how craft workers are trained, quality control personnel, and things like that? What type of training programs that you have internally, or maybe you turn to externally to use?
Yeah, we definitely put a big emphasis on training, safety, and internal growth. It's if our workforce succeeds, our projects succeed, and we have a track record of a safe work environment, and that the family culture that you mentioned,
Yeah,
the we're in it together, it helps keep us grounded as we take on even bigger projects. But I can't really speak on the training specifically for the craftsmanship
that's okay.
right now.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. And then focus on safety protocols, quality assurance. So again, Airco is really focused on safety of workers, of the team members, but also too when it comes to job site. And then quality assurance is real important as well, that I could see based on my research.
Mhm.
And then I think the other thing to kind of focus on is you had mentioned about with D. Johnson, the president, a woman-owned, woman-led business. Is there any insights that you can share regarding D. Johnson that would be important for the viewers to take away about her?
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit at the beginning, but the family founded company, even though we've grown to be, several hundred employees, she's the heart of it all, and she started it all, and her leadership, continues on to this day of whether it's, five of them or a couple hundred of them, it's the same D. Johnson, and she I think I mentioned too, like the quote that she, what we say we're going to do, we'll do. So that's her. And that's, how we communicate to clients, how we support them. There's, when you walk through some of our shops and you talk, we talk amongst employees, you can feel it. Then there's a sense of pride and ownership and mutual respect that, that culture that she kind of started it all.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a great takeaway. As we kind of wrap up our conversation, is there anything that we didn't talk about, Shannon, that you would want to share with the viewers?
I think that, that covers the most of it. I think that there'll be more down the line. So I'm just for me, I started at this company only 2 months ago. So each day I learn more and I get more involved, and there's a lot more that I'm taking in right now, I think, than I can, speak more on. But I think that this is a great start to the conversation, and I want to see it happen again.
You're doing a wonderful job. It's amazing being 2 months in, and you have such a good grasp on knowledge of capabilities, capacities, and also to the markets that you serve and everything like that. So I really greatly appreciate this opportunity to have a conversation with you regarding Airco, but also to an opportunity to kind of get to know you a little bit better too, because I think you've got a bright future at Airco, and also too within the coatings and corrosion industry. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. And I appreciate everything you're doing with Coding Stock. This is a great conversation to highlight the people and the processes that make this industry so strong.
Oh, I appreciate that. So everyone, I wanted to give an update on a couple things that are happening. I know about a month ago, I said, I'm going to be launching Coatings Talk Insight as a digital magazine. And I've kind of backed off that. I did last year or this year, 2025, launching it. And I said, I'm going to launch it in 2026, had a live stream and said, I'm going to do it, all gas, no brakes. And unfortunately, the more I really kind of dig into doing a launch of a digital trade magazine, it's just not going to work with a one person operation. So I've backed off that idea, and I'm going to go ahead and restart the Coatings Talk Insight articles back on LinkedIn. This morning I had an article on eCoat, my research with Airco, and conversation with Shannon really kind of inspired me to look at e-coating. So if you get a chance, go look on LinkedIn on my profile. Look under the newsletter, and you'll see the article that was released this morning. So back to Coatings Talk Insight on LinkedIn. The other thing I wanted to talk about is where things stand for the December 2nd Coatings Talk Symposium, the online symposium. Right now, I have 10 subject matter experts, and their technical presentations are really good. They're really diverse. I think everyone's going to have a good time on that. Now, if I run the number based on the 10 subject matter experts, the other things baked into Coatings Talk Symposium, it's expected to run right now probably 6 hours minimum, and it'll start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 2nd. You can register still. Also, if anyone last minute has an idea, they want to be a speaker, feel free to shoot me an email, jim@jimkunkel.com. And what I can do is look to work you into the schedule, but I'm working on the schedule right now. I will make sure that I do continually post a registration link. But again, if you go into my LinkedIn profile, you'll be able to see the post that I do for it to promote it. Feel free to register. Registrations are doing very well. They've grown in the last week. I think as we get closer and closer to December 2nd, they're probably going to double and triple where they're at. So my goal, I'd love to have 200 or more. I will take 100 people. But again, this is the first time for it, so I realize it's not going to have probably thousands of people. It can handle up my webinar system that I'm going to be doing the symposium on. It can handle up to 1,000 registrations, but that would be great. But I know that's not going to happen. But I appreciate everybody signing up for it. And then other than that, just stay tuned. There'll be more things coming from myself on Coatings Talk and other things that I'm working on related to the digital revolution with Jim Kunkel. My podcast is doing real good. That's in a different other aspect of another type of industry, but still very important to me. Shannon, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
And we got some of our YouTubers here. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. Have a good rest of your evening, your night, or morning, no matter where in the world you're watching this live stream. Goodbye.